Hey there folks, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be trying out the new Starfield update that came out yesterday and the driver update from Nvidia 537.34 that came out 2 days ago ish. I should have tested it before, but I was a little bit lazy, so today it is. Also paid no heed to my temperatures. They're gonna be a little high today because it's like 31 degrees outside. It's melting, absolutely melting. Google says 31. I feel like it's small, but anyway, the settings are still the same. Quad HD, custom preset, shadows on medium because they are a little bit demanding on the CPU side of things. Everything else a balance between medium and high according to a couple presets that I found online that deliver that solid performance. I mean, as solid as you can get. What I have noticed with this update is that it no longer the power draw's fixed in a way. It's still not drawing the full power. It doesn't even come close. I played for like 4 hours yesterday and it didn't hit the max TDP once. The peak was 304 instead of it generally it should be drawing around 310 320 around the ballpark, but the highest it's been was 304.5, which is concerning. I mean, it's not drawing the full wattage at all, and that's a bit of a problem, but at the very least, the performance is not being as compromised anymore. So that's a very, very good thing. As you can see, after the update, I don't have my frequency showing up anymore for some reason on MSI. But pay no heed. I will be letting you guys know because I have hardware info 64 on my second monitor and I can monitor that in real time. It's 1905 right now. So pre-standard. The highest my 3080 goes is 1920 and it drops to 1905 eventually, and that's what it's been locked at for the past couple hours I've been playing today. So that's good, that's pretty good. I mean, it's not ideal. Ideally we would want 1920, but 1905 is okay. It's drawing, you can see the draw up there, never mind, so that's a good thing. The draw is on screen, at the very least that. And, well, one thing I noticed regards to the GPU usage, actually, is that it's no longer using around 95 to 97% all the time, but drawing like 250 260 270 watts. It's a lot more consistent on that regard. So you have the low power draw, yes you do, but you also have low GPU usage, so that's good. So at the very least you don't have that anymore, that your GPU is at like full load but it's not drawing the full power. Now it's not a full load anymore, and when it's close to full load, you're gonna notice that the power draw is also gonna be closer to the full figure. So that's a good thing. You can see that they have fixed that at the very least, because it was a little bit odd. You know, your GPU working 97%, 95% normal GPU clock, normal memory clock, but then the actual power draw figures would be off, and you would be very confused as to why it's not drawing the full thing. And now it's, at the very least, they kind of fixed that. I mean, it's still not perfect. Like, ideally, you would want your GPU to be working 95, 98% and using full power all the time. But obviously, in that case scenario, I'm clearly CPU limited. It's not a game's fault at all. Like, you can see my CPU is working very hard at 61%. It's averaging, it's always above 50% load, which means like most of the cores are actually working very hard. So it's been very hard on it, and as a consequence, it's kind of holding my 3080 back quite substantially. I assume I would see less of a bottleneck in 4K, but 4K on a Quad HD panel looks weird. I've tried it, it's not worth it. It's one of the things I actually miss from my old Full HD panel, because I could actually do 4K with DSR, and it looked great, it performed great, and now it doesn't look as great anymore because, you know, it's not proportional as 1080s to 4K, you know, which is a shame. But also, I mean, if you compare 1080 to Quad HD is a lot better. It's almost 4K, to be honest. Like, in terms of visuals, I don't really, it's not much of a difference as much as it is from 1080 to Quad HD. Like, the leap is a lot less obvious. At the very least, I think so. I mean, my eyesight's not perfect, but I do think, like, going from 1080 to Quad HD is a lot more of a jump than going from Quad HD to 4K. And in Quad HD, you can already see, like, many imperfections regarding texturing, modeling, that you don't really see much on 1080. Like, it makes a lot of things quite clear when the devs are lazy and the models are not that perfect. You notice that right off the bat with Quad HD. It kind of jumps out, which is something that I at first I found very I saw it as a negative, honestly, when I jumped into Quad HD for the first time, because it makes it really, really clear. Especially older games, obviously, they're not made for Quad HD or 4K for that matter. They're made for Full HD. So if you play them above that res, you're gonna notice it's not all that perfect. And Quad HD kind of ruins that experience. So stuff that isn't made for very high resolutions is just gonna look terrible. And obviously stuff that is made for Quad HD and 4K is gonna look brilliant, like this does, even though we're using DLSS and so on. So great thing, great thing. As you can see, places with AI, people especially, it's gonna run terribly. We're getting near sub 60 again. Like you can see, 59. I mean, I'm recording, so generally without recording I would have like 61, 62. Oh, never mind, 67 now. Great. But yeah, if we jump, oh, oopsie daisy. Oh god, you're dealing with dinosaurs. That's not, oh my god, what the hell? That is a bit unexpected. That, wow, they got great guns. I mean, they wiped them off like real quick. But yeah, we found the settlement, which I'm not gonna engage on anything because I don't want to spoil the story or anything, because they might have a quest for me. I'm gonna visit this place later. The others are returning. Yeah, there's definitely a quest here, so I'm gonna get away for now, because they're definitely gonna ask me to do something, and that will ruin the experience if you ever visit this planet, Bradbury. Even though it might be at a different location, like it's procedurally generated, so chances are this settlement's gonna be it's not gonna be there for you, but it might be around the same vicinity in a way. I feel like it does. Like the things have like a preset place for them to be, area more so, but it's not gonna be the same place for every player. So like that outpost might be there instead for you, or here, not there. It depends, I think. I'm not quite sure how the procedural generation works. I'm not sure if it's just for the environment itself, and then the things, the settlements, the towers, and so on, they're predefined and they will be always at the same place, or if the location will vary. One thing I can say though is that the more you explore, the more planets you go to, and the more you level up, it apparently gets more interesting in terms of like stuff, life and vegetation. Especially like the first planets I visited were like super barren. There was not a lot going on, and now the more I explore, the more I realize like there's like a lot of variety now, like many different biomes. I mean, obviously that's planet dependent, and maybe it gets more lively as much as you, I mean, the more you go farther away from the initial planets, apparently it gets more lively. Like, it does seem to be the case. I'm not 100% sure. Like, I've played for 25, 26 hours now, so I'm not 100% sure on how things work. But my impression is that the high-level planets offer more variety, more different biomes, different animals, different pre-generated things, which is pretty dope. I love that. And masterpiece, truly a masterpiece. The more you play the game, the more you realize how much love has gone into bringing that, the joy of exploration, and it's indeed a lot of fun. I've been having the time of my life exploring the planets, especially now that they finally addressed like most of the issues in terms of like it still stutters here and there. It's still not consistent 60, but we are closer than ever to that solid, sweet 60 FPS. So that makes me very, very happy. Like you can see, when it's loading assets, it still does that little pause, which is not going to happen if you have an NVMe. I hope it does not. Like I'm running this off an external solid state drive, so I'm very happy with how it's dealing with that. Honestly, like it could be much worse. I mean, I heard that people playing on hard drives are having stuttering audio, stutters everywhere, and I'm only getting like the tiny stutters when he loads into a new environment. Sometimes I get stutters on when I shoot as well. Like I press fire and then the sound only comes after a while, but that is very rare, and it's happening a lot less now that I updated the game and the driver as well, because I was running a slightly out of date Nvidia driver. Because then again, I'm a flight simmer, so like it's common knowledge among like flight simmers that you shouldn't run the latest and greatest Nvidia wise, because it just might not be compatible, fully compatible with flight sim, and cause a lot of crashing. So I've always been a little bit like, I always wait out a couple weeks before I update, and sometimes if it's working perfectly, like I mainly only play flight sim, so if it's working great, I don't even bother. Like my the last driver I was running was very, very old actually, but it was working. My sim was working flawlessly, no crashes, no freezing, nothing. And Starfield was also working, although not perfectly, and now they released the official driver. Was like, okay, I gotta try this out. I mean, it makes no sense to still run an out-of-date driver if there's this one that fixes Starfield and doesn't break Microsoft Flight Sim either, so we might as well update. And well, it is in fact super duper great. The experience is a lot closer to that sweet 60 that we always dream of when we play a new game. And I'm very impressed actually, because like with the barren planets, I was not very surprised honestly. It was just like sand and a couple buildings here and there, so quite easy to run, I would hope, right? But here we have a lot of things going on. There's vegetation, there's dinosaurs, there's a mumbo jumbo of things going on, and it's still delivering a pretty playable frame rate. Like outpost clearing still kind of runs a little bit under 60, but just a little bit. But exploring planets and stuff, that's gonna be a 60-ish experience when there's dense vegetation, and a 70-80 plus when there's nothing going on. So that is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely, I'm very impressed with what Nvidia managed to churn out within. I mean, it took them a little bit, obviously. I mean, the game came out September 1st for the pre-order players, the Fancy Edition players. I said on the first video that I didn't pre-order it. I did pre-order it, but I got the basic version, so the default, the cheap one. I didn't get the expensive one, the $100 one. So that's what I meant by not pre-ordering it. I misworded it. But anyway, the point is, Nvidia took their time. Almost 2 weeks, but they have finally addressed it. It's still far from perfect. I still feel like the performance is a little bit underwhelming, considering it's a 3080 and it's just Quad HD, it's not 4K, and we're struggling to hit the 60 FPS mark, which it just kind of feels weird, because, you know, people say, hey, this is a high refresh rate Quad HD card, and now I'm just kind of having the hardest time keeping it 60. So it's a bit disappointing, but obviously, I mean, it's a 3-year-old card. It's not gonna run stuff forever. And if we're being honest, like the 980, when it was 3 years old, it was also not dealing with ultra settings high res anymore. It didn't age very well. The 780 Ti also didn't age well in that regard. And apparently, I mean, the prices went up on Pascal, like with the 1080 Ti and so on after the hike, because the 1080 Ti used to be like $700 before the first hike. But the point is, they had a longer lifespan. They were more expensive, but they had a substantially longer lifespan running stuff. Like especially the Pascal cards, like 1080 Ti and special 1080, 1070 were solid cards. They were still running stuff for years. They still do run stuff now, which is crazy. 7-year-old card. Like the 980 didn't age that well. The 780 didn't. The 680 even less so with 2 gigabytes of RAM. So the point is, yes, the prices went up, but also the usable lifespan of a GPU went significantly higher. Significantly. Like the 3080 is struggling with this one, obviously, as you can tell. But it doesn't struggle with most other games, most newer modern games. So that's one of the few games where it doesn't really shine. And it's 3-year-old. It's a 3-year-old GPU. So the point is, yes, even though the prices have gone up substantially, it also means you don't have to upgrade as often anymore. Because the GPUs, yeah, flagships were like $600, $500, but you had to upgrade like every 2 years. If you wanted to run stuff on Ultra, you had to upgrade. You were forced to upgrade. Now you don't. Now you don't. The 2080 Ti from 2018 still runs a lot of games. Fine. Quad HD, even 4K if you're brave enough. Even 4K. And it still deals with that just fine. And it's from 2018. It's been a while now. Now if you go any pre-Pascal generation that was cheaper, that was $600 MSRP or less, it didn't have that lifespan. Even expensive stuff, $690, $590, they didn't have the lifespan at all. So yeah, while I do agree that the prices are a little crazy nowadays, at the very least you have a lot more of a higher usable lifespan. Except here, obviously. Back to my original point that I was making, where my 3080 doesn't really feel all that beefy when I play Starfield. Frames are bad, there's a little bit frame drops here and there. It just doesn't really feel like a former, briefly flagship card at one point. I mean, it was never flagship per se because the 3090, but I mean, the difference between the 3080 and the 3090 is like minor in terms of performance. I mean, the VRAM difference is obvious, clear, but performance-wise, there's not much of a gap. So the 3090 just had the extra VRAM gas that is important, obviously, for certain titles, but performance-wise, wasn't really all that much more performant price-wise, especially considering it was almost twice as expensive. I don't think so. I mean, it's not as much of a gap as it is between the 4080 and the 4090, for example. The 4090 is a lot more performant than the 4080, but the 3090 was not a lot more performant than the 3080. It is more performant, obviously, but it's also not crazy night and day more performant. It's just it just runs faster, obviously, a couple frames more, I think 10, 15 frames, which at a grand scheme of things, it's not a lot if you consider that this is a high refresh rate GPU for most games. For most games, it is a high refresh rate card. So like the difference between 120 FPS and 130 FPS, 135 is almost negligible, honestly. And that difference is almost nullified if you're CPU bottlenecked anyway. So if I were running a 3090, I wouldn't have much of a gain here at all because my CPU is holding the whole thing back. Anyway, we've seen a lot of walking around a planet that has a lot of vegetation, a lot of life going on. The frames are happy performance figures, yeah? 68, 69, 59, great performance. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's definitely a lot better than before. It's clear as day. I mean, if you guys compare it to the previous planet I was on that had nothing going on, that's definitely much better. A visible, clear improvement. So people have told me that I should go to the cities, so that's what we're gonna do now. Get ready for disappointment because now the performance is gonna tank. Absolutely. Get ready because it's gonna be very, very disappointing. I warn you guys beforehand because, yeah. It's not good. It's not good at all. So let's hit map. We are on Bradbury Tree. We gotta go back to the system where quite... Oh! Oh! No, that was not what I wanted. I didn't want the console, no. That was misclick. Tab. Alright, so here we are. Where's the... Oh my god. It's gonna be hard. I'm very distant. Oh, there we go. I think it's Alpha Centauri, isn't it? I think it is. 100% sure. Yeah, it is. Second course. Let's go. Let's jump. Yeah, it's Jemison. We're gonna jump straight to the lodge area where the frames absolutely dip. I mean, maybe it's 60. I have not been there after the update. Maybe, but do not get your hopes up, because it was not even close to 60 before the driver update or before the game's update as well, because there was the driver update first and then Bethesda updated the game, which has changed the GPU usage thing, because the driver only fixed the power draw, but it didn't fix the usage. The usage was something on Bethesda's end that they fixed. So now it doesn't use 97% low wattage anymore. If it's using 90% of the GPU, the wattage is going to be higher than the usual pre-update, which is a good thing. All right, let's look at the map. Get ready for disappointment, my boys. Oh, there's so many outposts. Here's the lodge. Let's land there. And get ready for maybe 45, 50... It's not going to be good. It's not going to be amazing, but better than nothing, I suppose. It's taking its time. Taking its sweet time to load. Even a solid state drop. Shame. Alrighty, boys.
I have something for you.
21, 49, 51. Okay. That is a little better than I was expecting. As you can see, we're heavily CPU limited. The GPU is barely working at 74%. Oh my god, that's actually terrible. We're getting 48, 46, 48, 46. Yeah, that... terrible. Absolutely terrible. There's no way you could actually, like, engage on a fight here with people. That wouldn't work. I mean, this is terrible. You can hardly aim. Even though I'm using G-Sync, bear in mind, it still feels... I mean, at the very least, it's not choppy, thanks to G-Sync once again. Oh, no, never mind. Now it is choppy as well. G-Sync is trying its best. I feel like it's because it's not even the GPU or the CPU at this point. I feel like it's my storage, because Scenery is progressively loading, and it's running off an external solid-state drive, so suboptimal. I feel like that's what's holding the performance back a lot. At 36 FPS, oh my god, look at the GPU usage, 56%. Oh, what? What did you give me? Ah!
Staring at trees. Sounds upset.
Oh, there's a cast right there. I'm not gonna go. Thank you for the credits. Bye bye. I don't want any spoilers. No, I won't talk to the scientist by the tree. Not now. Not now. But yeah, that is a bit sad. That is very sad in terms of numbers.
Ever wonder how the Crimson Fleet seems to be everywhere? It's because they have little outposts everywhere. There are so many.
Thank you for the information. Okay, so 46. Not good. Not good. GPU is barely working. CPU is getting absolutely murdered right now. Figures are better. No, they're not. Never mind. It's the G-Sync is a bit of it's crazy. Like, if you don't move much and you just move the cursor, it doesn't really feel stuttery at all. It's crazy. Even when the frames are low, it doesn't feel like it's all that low, honestly. You only notice it's slow when you actually... It doesn't feel terrible, thanks to G-Sync, but still, I wouldn't like to engage on a fight with this frame rate. Terrible. Let's check another city before we end this video. Let's get a map. There's back to Okay, so that would be where's Svaz? Just Gagarin. That's not what I want. Where's the other Sol? Yeah, that's where Aquila is, I think. Set course. Let's go. Yeah, let's go Mars. Aquila, I don't know. Still. But yeah, city-wise, it's still far from perfect. But then again, like I said, I'm running a suboptimal setup here. A very suboptimal setup here. So, we gotta consider that. First and foremost, that's gotta be considered. My CPU is old. I shouldn't be pairing the CPU for 3080. It's my fault. If I had a modern CPU, I wouldn't be having frame issues. And I know people with a 5800X 3D and a 3080 as well, same GPU running this game just fine above 60. So it's mostly my fault in that regard. I'm being held back by the CPU. So if I had a faster one, I wouldn't struggle. I mean, it would be nice if I had 60, sure, but I gotta be realistic. Oh no, it's Cydonia. It's not. God, I got confused, but it doesn't matter. It's a city. It's a city. It's a city. Cydonia. It's still a city, and it's still got houses and people and life going on. It's a good benchmark, regardless, and that's what we're gonna be checking out today. Hopefully, that is. Alrighty.
I have something for you.
Welcome. No, I don't care. You're gonna give me a weird ass fruit or something like that. I don't want that. Alright. Performance is better now. That reminds me of Metro a little bit. Underground and all that. Crazy. Metro in space. Let's get in. Let's get in. See how it... Oh my god, 80 degrees. No, the CPU is not having an easy time. I mean, like I said, today's a very hot day. So... that also does not help one bit. No, I don't. I don't want whatever you have to offer me. I don't want it. I don't care about it. Look at that! 60 FPS! We done did it, boys! We done did it. The underground, I mean, it's underground, obviously. One would expect it would run decently as it's way more enclosed. No, I don't want to talk to you. No, I don't want. I mean, maybe in the future, but now I'm recording a benchmark. I cannot be interrupted right now with bounty hunting. Oh wow, that's nice. No gravity. Let's go. I believe the best need apply. Look at that. Woo! This is such a vibe. Oh my god, I might end up dying. Alright, performance 57. Okay, that was not buggers, but it's consistent somewhat. It's consistently disappointing. 57. Yeah, this is much better than the large area than Jamison. That's for sure. That's like 100% better, but still, yeah. But then again, like I said, it's my CPU's fault. It's nobody's fault but mine. What are you doing here? Yeah, if I had a faster CPU, I would definitely be getting 60 across the board. I mean, the great thing is, the Nvidia driver update made a massive difference, especially outside of, around planets. Like, you get better average frame rate. The performance is fairly more consistent. You have that sweet consistency that we came to appreciate in modern games. Like, the frames are not all over the place. Except here, obviously, which you can tell it's a little bit, depends. It really depends on many things, but look at that. Quite playable, isn't it? Anyway, I think that should be it for now. We've seen enough. We've seen 2 cities, a planet, lots of roaming around. I'm very, very satisfied with the update. Still not perfect, but then again, I gotta be realistic. My CPU is old. It's not their fault. They tried their best. They've been trying their best with the updates, and it's definitely gotten better. On the power draw side of things, on the overall power, it's also a lot more solid now. So that is a great thing. And it will only get better in the future when they find out more tricks, like probably the community though, not Bethesda themselves, but when they find out ways to improve that frame rate even further somehow, and I'm sure they will find that out somehow. But even as it is right now, aside from the cities, it's fully playable now. Like there is no hindrance whatsoever, and you can always go lower in the graphics as well. I'm still a little insistent on high settings, but if I were to be a little, you know, more willing to sacrifice, to compromise, I could go with medium settings, and then I'm pretty sure 60 would be an achievable dream and not just wishful thinking. I mean, as much as my CPU holds me back a lot, still, I'm sure I got that firepower if I were to sacrifice a few things here and there. But anyway, I think, yeah, we've talked enough, we've seen enough. That should be it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Like I said before many times, feedback's much appreciated. Comment section is right down below. Don't be shy to express your opinion. It's really much appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.